My name is Jenna Korb, and I'm the Executive Director of the San Diego, Hawaii chapter of the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. So my story starts 16 and a half years ago. I was a college student. I'm born and raised in Montana. I had just moved out of the house, very excited to be independent, and I was enjoying a summer full of work, a little summer school. I'm an avid skier, and I have taken dance and taught dance all of my life. And so it was very strange for me to start having these feelings of extreme fatigue. I would go to class and fall asleep. I mean, and to know me, I'm an overachiever, so falling asleep in class is out of the question. And I would go into dance practice and be partnering with people, and I would come out with bruises on my arms just the size of fingers, or anyone who touched me, I'd just be bruised. And I thought at the time, well, this is strange. So I decided to go to the doctor one day, and the final diagnosis was myelodysplastic syndrome, or MDS. So when we sat down with the doctors at the Hutch, my only option for treatment at that point in time was a bone marrow transplant. So I found this wonderful donor, and it was at that point when they were doing all of the workup for my transplant, and then I remember the clinical trial discussion coming up, and a stack of paperwork being given to me, and a choice of choosing a clinical trial. And by stack of papers, I mean it was a stack of papers. My mom and I at the time were overwhelmed at the diagnosis, overwhelmed at the treatment and my odds, and overwhelmed at what the clinical trials were. And in looking at that stack, I decided immediately that I would be making the decisions, and I would not let my mom do it. I knew that should my chances not be good for survival, I didn't want my mom to have the responsibility of making a choice that big, because it was very clear I had no other options for treatment other than the transplant, and what happened after that, I wanted to make sure that it was on me. So I picked two. I did end up with one clinical trial that had to do with anti-nausea medicine before and after all of the chemotherapy, and the other one that I was particularly interested in was a clinical trial that had to do with post-transplant and graft versus host disease, so the rejection that you experience after you've gone through transplant. This particular clinical trial stepped out to me in amongst the pack because it meant one pill versus a host of 15 different medications that I would have to have. The one thing I reflect on a lot now, being 16 years post-transplant, is I did not understand what a goldmine of opportunity was in that stack of papers, and I was extremely lucky to pick what I did. But it's so important to understand and know and be your own advocate in your treatment, because there are tremendous things that are out there just waiting for you. And it still shocks me to be talking with patients today that have no idea, just like I didn't have any idea, of what clinical trials are available. So I went in to see my doctor one day and started describing, they knew kind of what I went through during my treatment versus what patients were going through today, and was able to make the connection that it's the same drug. So 16 years ago, I was part of an experiment that now is impacting patients in a huge way. And it is extremely gratifying to know that something that I did then is making a difference for individuals today. I've so enjoyed sharing my story and wish everyone the best.